In today's video, I'm going to be talking about these, the Shokz OpenDots One. Shokz first clip-on style earbuds, which I've had and used extensively for the last month. I bought these with my own money, but there are some affiliate links for Amazon UK and Amazon US down in the description. So if you do fancy giving these a try using the links, that just helps support the channel a bit, but the thoughts and opinions given here are my own. I've been using Shokz products since 2021, and I've got experience with the OpenRun, the OpenRun Pro 2, and the OpenFit. I decided to give the OpenDots One a try because I tried them on at the Amsterdam Marathon Expo, and I was very impressed with the overall sound quality. So when Black Friday came around, I took advantage of a deal and got myself a pair. In the box, you get the OpenDots One in their charging case, a bit of paperwork, a USB-C to USB-C charging cable, and that is pretty much it. They weigh in at 52 grams for both buds in the charge case, with each bud separately weighing 6.7 grams for a total of just over 13 grams. For comparison, the OpenRun Pro 2, which is the form factor you might be more used to from Shokz products, weighs in at just over 31 grams, and the OpenFit ones weigh in at just under 17 grams for the pair, 76.5 grams with them in their charging case, making the OpenDots One the lightest earbuds Shokz has ever made. If you compare the OpenRun Pro 2, OpenFit 1, and the OpenDots One in their charging case, you can see just how small the form factor is compared to the other Shokz products. So how do they feel to wear? This is the first pair of earphones I've had in this form factor, and they are without any doubt not just the most comfortable Shokz earphones I've ever had, they are quite possibly the most comfortable earphones I've ever had, period. Before wearing them for the first time, I was interested in exactly how they would stay in place. I was worried they might pinch a little bit too tight, making them secure but uncomfortable over longer periods, or they wouldn't be tight enough, resulting in them feeling loose and lacking confidence they would stay put when using them while running. But somehow, they managed to not feel like they are pinching in the ear at all, nor do they feel like they're not secure. They seem to strike this perfect balance, which is down to the titanium joint arc, as Shokz call it, that connects the speaker and the battery portions together. I've worn them a few times for prolonged periods of time, a couple of times over 7 hours straight, and I can honestly say, even 7 hours in, I had basically zero ear fatigue, and a few times, honestly, I just forgot I was wearing them. Worn casually, in the office, or out on runs, they have just stayed put. I am a glasses wearer, and being honest, I've personally never had an issue with any of the other Shokz products while wearing glasses, but I do know that some people do, and in my experience, they don't even really make contact with where the glasses are being positioned where they are. The only slight issue on the fitment side of things I have had was when I was out on the run and I was wearing a rain jacket with the hood up. There were a few issues just getting the buds to just sit still while I was putting a hood up or down. At its worst, the buds came out of the ear while I was messing about with the hood, which isn't really ideal when you think about how small they are. But knowing this now means I can just be a little bit more careful with this in the future. I would say though, when I've worn these with a bobble hat over them over the winter months, they have been great. They don't get pressed into your head or into your ear, like is sometimes the case with other shapes of earbuds, so that is a big tick there. Moving on to possibly the most important thing, how they sound. The OpenDots don't use bone conduction, which is the technology that made Shokz popular. Similar to the OpenFit range, they use air conduction. Shokz absolutely love giving virtually everything a name, and the OpenDots use bass sphere as well as Open Bass 2.0, combined with direct pitch, are you keeping up? As well as offering Dolby audio. All that marketing jumbo aside, I'm pleased to say that the OpenDots sound amazing straight out of the box. You can choose between a few different EQ modes in the Shokz app, as well as customizing your own, but I've pretty much just left them in standard since I've had them, and it's been excellent. You aren't going to get the isolation or the heavy levels of bass that you would with some in-ear earphones, such as the AirPods Pro, due to the laws of physics, but the soundstage is very high quality and balanced with good levels of bass. There is a good feeling of space between the highs, mids, and lows without the feeling of it sounding compressed. You are also not going to get noise cancellation due to them leaving your ear canals open, enabling you to hear your surroundings, but at higher volumes, these do a pretty good job of blocking out the outside world. I will say though, I haven't noticed a massive difference in sound quality if Dolby audio is turned on or off. These have been brilliant out on runs so far too. I've worn them in high traffic areas, and I wore them during the Valencia Marathon, where the course atmosphere was at stages pretty loud, and I've still been able to hear my own playlist clearly with really good audio quality. In terms of sound leakage, in the home, I asked my wife if she could hear what I was listening to, and at max volume she said she could, and she also said if she was sat next to me on a train, she'd probably get pretty annoyed. Even in private mode, she was able to identify the song I was playing. I had to drop it to about 50% volume in standard EQ mode for the leakage to stop. Onto the battery life. Shokz claim 10 hours of listening time in the buds themselves, which extends to 40 hours, including the charge case. During my testing, I used them for 7 hours plus a number of times on reasonably high volume with Dolby Audio turned on, and they lasted that duration. Pushing them closer to 8 hours on one occasion, I got a low battery beep in my right ear, which the app showed as having 10% battery remaining, with the left still on 20%. On another test, having used them for about 9.5 hours total, but with them being charged intermittently during this period, when the buds were fully recharged back up to 100%, the charge case reported having 60% battery remaining. So I don't think the battery life is way off Shokz claims, and to be honest, it's more than adequate for my needs. Having the confidence to wear these on Valencia Marathon Day, including the commute to the start, as well as during the full marathon itself, all while listening to music, leaving the charge case at my Airbnb, I think that speaks volumes about how confident I've been about the battery life. The OpenDots can charge via wired USB-C or also wireless charging, which is also a nice added bonus. Just wanted to cut in here during the edit. I've realized that I haven't said what the IP rating is for these. So these are IP54 rated, which means they should be fine against sweat and some rain, but you don't want to fully submerge them in water. Just wanted to say that. Now back to the video. So is there anything that I don't like? Well, actually, yes. As well as the fitment issue when wearing a hooded rain jacket, which I think I've overcome, and the sound bleed, which really isn't an issue for me. I'm not a huge fan of touch controls in general, far preferring actual buttons, but I can understand why that isn't really possible on something with a form factor this small. The Shokz app allows you to customize the touch controls, but I did find the controls on the OpenDots took a little bit of getting used to. The 2-finger pinch and hold, where you literally lightly squeeze the earbud in the battery section, worked the best for me, with volume down on the left and volume up on the right. It's the double and triple tap on the joint arc for either play pause or track forward, track back, where I've had an issue. I've kind of gotten used to the play pause double tap, and that works perhaps 60 to 70% of the time, but the triple tap has been incredibly inconsistent, only working maybe 30 to 40% of the time. The triple tap is still in beta testing though, so hopefully that will carry on improving. The other thing that isn't great is the microphone. I'll be honest, I don't know the last time I actually use earbud microphones to take a phone call, so this really doesn't matter to me that much, but the Shokz OpenDots microphones don't really sound that great. Here is the sound quality of them out on a run.
This is the Shokz OpenDots while I am out running with some traffic going by, just to test what the microphone sounds like. So there's a few cars going past, so hopefully you can't hear that, but we'll see.
Here is them in the home.
These are the Shokz OpenDots used in a quiet in-home environment.
And to compare them to the Shokz OpenRun Pro 2.
And these are the microphones on the Shokz OpenRun Pro 2.
Which also aren't great. I feel the OpenDots sound quality is slightly worse. And just for a broader comparison, this is them compared to the internal microphone on an iPhone 17 Pro. This is the microphone on an iPhone 17 Pro, just for comparison. So there we are, that's my review of the Shokz OpenDot One. Despite my couple of dislikes, I have to say these have to be my new favourite pair of earphones. I can't wear earbuds that block my ear canal due to an ear sensitivity, so these have been a great new form factor for me so far that has worked really well. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.